All right, we are back, and today we are going to we're going to recreate, teach you how to do one of the most popular TikTok videos that I have. This is dating back to 2020 when I first started my TikTok account, and one of the first things I shared was how to make freezer pancakes. My kids love freezer pancakes, the kind you get at the grocery store. So I've tried to make them at home a little bit more frequently, and I actually haven't bought any pancakes from the grocery store in a long time because this recipe is so easy. It's super easy to freeze them yourself, and they have less ingredients. They taste just as good, and I'm going to use some oat flour today. I'm going to show you how to make pancakes with oat flour so they have a little bit more nutritional value, a little less ingredients that you don't know. So let's start with what equipment we will need for today. You are going to need some cooling racks, cookie racks, cooling racks, wire racks, as many as you can. You want them to be able to cool on here. I have my ingredients for the oat flour pancakes that I will share with you in a few minutes. If you are using oat flour and you don't purchase it, you will want to have a food processor because that will help you to make oatmeal into oat flour. And then you're also going to want some cookie sheets, baking sheets with some parchment paper, and that's what we'll use to freeze them. And you will also want a freezer container to store them afterwards, maybe a Ziploc bag or whatever you use to usually freeze your pancakes. So that's the equipment you need. Ingredients you need. You need oat flour, milk, vanilla extract, baking powder, sugar, salt, eggs, and butter. You can also make this dairy-free. You can make it vegan by using a flax egg instead of eggs. You can use coconut oil instead of butter, and you can use almond milk or oat milk instead of milk. You could also use gluten-free flour. Now this oat flour, this is not gluten-free, but you can buy gluten-free oat flour if you need to make them gluten-free as well. So that's the simple ingredients. Now let's put together the batter and get the pancakes made so then we can freeze them and store them and have breakfast for weeks. Start with our oat flour. This is about 2 cups of oat flour. We are also going to add in our cup of milk, splash of vanilla extract, egg, and our second egg. 1 tablespoon of sugar. You can use coconut sugar, you could use brown sugar. Here's 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Then we have 2 tablespoons of melted butter. We're going to take our dough whisk and we're going to mix this up. The batter may be slightly lumpy, and that's okay. If it seems to be too thin, just let it sit for about 3 minutes so that it can kind of thicken up a little bit. And we do need time for our griddle to heat up. All right, time to heat up the griddle. I did forget to mention that another piece of equipment you need is a griddle. I have a griddle right on my stove, but you could get a countertop griddle, or you can even use a Blackstone. I like to do that sometimes in the summer if it's not too cold out, but for now we're going to just use the stove. You could also use a pan. Before we let it heat up, we're going to spray it with some coconut oil spray. You can also use butter. We're going to do this before we turn the stove on to not cause fire. Okay, now we're going to turn it on to medium heat. We do want it to get pretty hot, but we don't want it to be too hot. It's all about finding that right temperature, which is right about medium, and every griddle is different. Every stove and oven is different, as with anything, so you kind of just have to play around and see what works best for your machine. So we're going to let this heat up, and then we'll start making our pancakes. We are pretty hot here, so we have the 1/4 cup that we're going to put 2 on here. How do you know when your pancakes are done? There's 2 ways to know if your pancakes should be flipped. Number 1 is you'll start to see the outside here start to look cooked. It looks like you can flip it. The other way is you'll start to see bubbles all throughout this part here of the underside. But just know that the first pancake is never gonna be good. So that's okay. It's your test, and then it'll be fine. Now, I will point out too that the batter for these oat flour pancakes is thicker. The batter for these oat flour pancakes, you can see it has a little bit of you can even see it on my hand here. It has a little bit of a thicker grain to it. Once you actually cook them, you will not see that. You will not have a texture problem. It's just in the batter. This is our second batch, and they're already looking so much better. Do these not look just like regular pancakes? But our pancakes are at room temperature. We are going to put them onto a cookie sheet. So this is where my mic dies, so I'm just going to do a voiceover, and I'm just basically putting all of these pancakes onto a sheet pan, and they're going in the freezer. These are frozen. Now we're going to store them. So I'm going to put them in this bag. I'm going to have pancakes for about, well, there's 12 here, so that will last me, I don't know, do the math, about 3 days. So I do suggest maybe doing this in bulk if you can, especially if you have a lot of people to feed. I like to reheat these in the microwave because it's easy. I can do them for 45 seconds per side, and then they're done nice and quick. And that's it. That's done. So it's super easy, super simple. Now I have breakfast for a couple days. Double it, you'll have even more. So I'm going to put these in the freezer, and they last forever. So you don't need to buy them at the grocery store anymore. So hope you like that, and hope you come back next time.